It is no secret that zombies who have tasted brains will always want more. Never was this more evident than during the last attack of the Living Dead horde. But it all began in the 19th century when England entered the World Trade at first. Everything was great. The country was replenished with exotic spices and goods. But one day a virus leaked into the country, turning people into zombies. This dead wave could not be stopped. The soldiers who fought against them eventually replenished. The army of the dead. The remnants of humanity hid behind large walls. In parallel, work was underway to design the Royal Canal, a giant 60-meter deep ditch surrounding the city walls. The area between the two fortifications was called the Interland, but in the Second War against the zombies, they destroyed all the inhabitants of the Interland. They say the king lost his mind when he saw this and destroyed all the bridges except one. The Hingham Bridge remains the only structure leading across the canal to this day. The rich, having decided that the war was won, returned to their protected estates. Darcy is in one of these estates. After Darcy is checked for bites, he is allowed to go among the people. The head of the estate, Miss Featherstone, is playing cards with other people. She tells Darcy that zombies have not been seen on her land for a long time. Darcy says that he wants to join the game, and as soon as he sits down at the chair, he takes out an ampoule of flies. These creatures are able to find dead flesh. The flies fly around the room and still choose one man who is in the early stages of infection. Darcy instantly kills him and asks if this man could have infected anyone. The woman says no, which is why Darcy leaves. But her daughter is clearly hiding something and runs away to check on the man's niece, who has also become a zombie and attacks everyone she sees. This time, Bennett teaches his daughters the basics of survival in their new world. But his wife doesn't like it very much. She thinks that girls should do proper things and not prepare for battle, especially when the ball is about to take place. Many girls like this news, but Elizabeth clearly doesn't care. Already at the ball, Bingley falls in love with Jane, with whom he dances. He even offers Darcy to choose a girl and also dance, like Elizabeth, for example. Darcy calls the girl beautiful, but this is not enough to continue the evening. The girl hears this and tries to leave, accidentally dropping the bottle. Elizabeth does not notice how Featherstone approaches her, who is about to say something, but Darcy manages to kill her. The crowd runs to the noise, just like the other infected. This is where the girls' skills, which Bennett taught them, come in handy. Darcy was amazed by what he saw and began to fall in love with Elizabeth. A new day begins. Jane received an invitation from Bingley to go on a date. She was given a horse, but on the way to Bingley, she stumbles upon a zombie. The horse is frightened by the monster and throws Jane. The firearm misfires, but the dagger was much more effective. Before she had time to rest, a new zombie came out of the forest. A day passes. Elizabeth herself came to Bingley, since Jane was ill. Darcy suspects that this may be an unusual flu and releases flies that do not land on the girl. The next day, the rest of the sisters with their mother arrive at the estate. Darcy reminds that she can still be infected, and the woman convinces Bingley to prepare a ball that will raise everyone's spirits. Their family also includes Uncle Collins, who will have to take over the lands after Bennett's death. He is clearly interested in Jane, but the woman says that she is already taken. He would have been better off taking a closer look at Elizabeth. A little later they come across an overturned carriage. Cries for help are heard from it, but it was a zombie. While the girls deal with the threat, Collins awkwardly watches from the side. He even refuses to carry a weapon, dumping everything on the girls. A new detachment of soldiers was brought to the city. They were assigned to guard the city due to the increased number of infected in the area. They are commanded by Lieutenant Wickham, with whom Elizabeth began a dialogue. Darcy saw this and left without talking to Elizabeth. At the evening ball, Elizabeth wants to make the first move on Wickham, but Collins drags her away. Even when Darcy offers to dance, Collins ruins everything again. Elizabeth meets Bingley. They hear some noise. Looking behind the door, they witness zombies killing a servant. The couple arms themselves and goes to clear the room. Bingley is immediately attacked and falls. Elizabeth sees a bunch of infected. One of them says that their new friend let them in, but they are interrupted by Darcy, who destroys all the infected. He thinks that Bingley bit him, which is why he is going to finish off the guy, but Elizabeth stops him, saying that he just fell out of the bra. A new day begins. Collins asks Elizabeth to marry him, but she is categorically against it. The father supports the girl, but the woman does not. Not wanting to listen to the screams, Elizabeth goes into the forest, where four suspicious men are standing and birds are hovering above them. Wickham calls out to her, and when the girl turns around, the men have disappeared. That he tells Elizabeth that no one was there and offers to show her an amazing place. He takes her to the church, but everyone who was there was already a zombie. The priest gives them pig brains, which is why the zombies do not attack Elizabeth. Wickham believes that peace is possible between them. She wants to tell the king about this, but Wickham does not see the point. He wants to bring this ideology to the masses. The war has already ruined the state, and there are more zombies than people. A few days later, the girl says that she is engaged to Collins and wants Elizabeth to be her companion for a meeting with relatives. At Collins' estate, Elizabeth sees paintings of Catherine, who kills monsters, and four men in hats. They look a lot like the people in the forest. Moreover, Darcy is a relative of Catherine. Catherine finds the idea of being friends with zombies unrealistic, which is why she does not give Wickham money. But Collins read that the Antichrist will lead the undead forward. Darcy is also against it. At night, Wickham enters the estate and asks Elizabeth to leave with him. But when he refuses, he says that the day of reckoning will soon come. Tomorrow, Darcy admits that he cares for Elizabeth. A small scuffle begins between them, in which Elizabeth says that she will not be with him. In his last letter, Darcy describes his life and that Wickham is a bad person, but Darcy will hope that someday Elizabeth will change her mind. And now, he needs to leave to protect their capital from a new zombie attack. A little later, the zombies made their way to the capital, and their attacks were not the same as before. Someone began to help them. The outbreak in London has increased the zombie horde 100-fold, and now their goal is to prevent them from leaving the Great Wall. Otherwise, humanity will be doomed. Elizabeth notices that her sister is missing and realizes that Wickham could have taken her to the church. That day, Catherine comes to Elizabeth. She says that Darcy will marry her daughter, but Elizabeth can do it first. Elizabeth still does not know how to answer her. Then Catherine promises to protect her family, and she must find Darcy. Elizabeth and her sister arrive at the last bridge. The soldiers say that they will blow up the bridge to stop the zombie invasion in the capital. This does not frighten the girls, and they ride on. Soon they find Bingley and Darcy. The ground is literally strewn with the living dead, which is why they waste time dealing with them. Later, Darcy says that the church was destroyed a few days. It is unlikely that her sister is still alive. But in reality, it was a lie. He does not want Elizabeth to die and went to the church himself. Men from the forest stood in front of the entrance, letting zombies in. Elizabeth sees Bingley periodically looking towards the church and understands that Darcy lied to her. Darcy finds Lydia and the plan to infect the capital. Wickham was behind everything. He fires a shot, hitting the bars. The zombies run to the noise, giving Darcy time to escape. Already on the street, he puts the girl on a horse, and he himself remains to kill Wickham. But when he inflicted a mortal wound, Wickham remained alive, since he had long since become a zombie, and his thirst for flesh replaced the desire to take revenge on Darcy. All four men are horsemen of the apocalypse, whom he will lead into battle, but their conversation is interrupted by Elizabeth, depriving Wickham of his hand and taking Darcy away. In an instant, the bridge will be completely destroyed. A couple of days later they get married, but their happiness is interrupted when they see Wickham running to attack. This is where the film ends, and we will be glad to receive your like. See you soon, bye.